All right, let's jump to wide receiver, top five.
Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, Justin Jefferson, and DeAndre Hopkins.
Got Tyreek, Stephon Diggs, Adams, Jefferson, and my number five is Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Nice.
I just think that is going to be one of those kind of shootout games that Detroit gets into. I mean, look at Cleveland, indoors in that
Yeah.
stadium. Jacoby Brissett, and who I was actually high on, thank goodness. But for that exact reason, this Buffalo zone defense, they're gonna put up points on one side, and then of course, they got good players, but they've been every week they're missing 1, 2, 3, 4 guys on that defense, whether it's Edmonds or Poyer or Rousseau. So, they're going to give up production, even if it's just in garbage time. But Amon-Ra's been doing his thing regardless, just keeps putting up these, 7, 8 catch games. And he'll get back in the end zone sooner or later, too.
Yeah, no, I love that. Jameson Williams looks like he's nearing a return. I can't wait to see him on the field as well. He might open things up even more for Amon-Ra underneath. So that's going to be an exciting wide receiver duo going forward.
Yeah, this guy's been running routes next to Khalif Raymond, Tom Kennedy, and Stanley Berryhill. Yeah,
and Brock Wright.
Right, yeah. Man. Who are you high on?
I'm high on Tyler Boyd. I think he's a low end wide receiver 2 this week. He's coming off a pretty disappointing 2 catch for 42-yard game. The Titans are first in DVOA against the run, and the Bengals could be without Joe Mixon. So this is really a pass funnel defense. And they're 32nd DVOA against number 2 wide receivers. So I'm guessing Jamar Chase will need at least one more week to return. I'm kind of assuming that when I'm projecting the Bengals right now. Plus, the Titans secondary is banged up. Fulton and Elijah Moulton are both questionable this week. So this could be a blow up spot for Boyd. And then he'll be back into, fringe wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 territory once Chase returns. But I think we're going to get one more big week out of him here. And then got to go with Gabe Davis here. Last week I was down on him. I apologize for that. Again, that was weather concerned, projection.
What a roller coaster!
Once it moved to Detroit, I'm back on the Gabe train. But this week we know it's in Detroit. So this isn't just an eruption spot for him against the Lions defense that has allowed the most receptions, 20 plus yards downfield. So that's Gabe Davis's sweet spot. Again, the Lions have been pretty solid against the run lately. So I just think this is the matchup. Josh Allen just goes off, specifically Gabe Davis. So he's all the way up to wide receiver 12 for me. I know I predicted a Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis both being in the top 5 week. We're not quite yet there, but we're getting there.
Yeah, man. Davis has been a little bit inconsistent this year. Struggled with some drops. Just hasn't made, at least since early in the year, as many of those wow plays as you would expect. So hopefully he gets back to it in this one. I am high on DK Metcalf. He is the consensus wide receiver 21. He's my wide receiver 13. Vegas is dead last in DVOA against the pass. They're below average against number 1 wide receivers. And they tend to play man coverage more than most defenses. They're 7th in man coverage rate, and DK averages 2.9 yards per route against man coverage. That leads the Seahawks and is 12th league-wide among wide receivers. So I just think it's a good matchup for pretty much everyone on the Seahawks team. I mean, Walker on the ground, Geno through the air. But yeah, got to mention Metcalf. Even on a packed slate, I think he deserves to be a top 15 wide receiver this week. I have him 13th. All right, who are you low on?
Oh man, I hate to say it, but Christian Watson, I have him at wide receiver 40 to open the week. Yeah, I know, right? This is scary. And I view him as a solid wide receiver 3 with upside the rest of the season, but we have to consider the matchup this week. So he does get a slight downgrade. He typically lines up on the outside. So against the Eagles, he's likely going to face off against Darius Slay and James Bradbury. And we can't bank on touchdowns every week with him. I think the Eagles will take note of that when they get in the red zone, make sure that they have somebody on Watson. So plus, the Packers will probably take advantage of the Eagles run funnel defense here. So this is just, week to be cautious with him. I'm still starting him if he's your best, he's in your top 3 receivers, but there could be better options out there is all I'm saying. So he's just slightly lower than ECR to begin the week at wide receiver 40. And then a guy I'm more confidently down on is Curtis Samuel at wide receiver 41 against the Falcons. And he was, a mainstay in my top 20 just a couple weeks ago, but he has seen his target share plummet down to 12% per route run the past 4 games. Plus, Jahan Dotson is back to his full-time role. And while he hasn't really been commanding many targets, it's certainly lowering Samuel's weekly floor ceiling combo. Curtis Samuel is able to bail his fantasy managers out last week with the rushing score. But again, we can't just bank on touchdowns every week. So he's back in that wide receiver 4 territory, especially with no teams on a bye this week. He is way down my wide receiver rankings at wide receiver 41 this week.
Yeah, I have him 37th, so I am lower than consensus as well. His route participation is going down. He's being used as a running back, at kind of their third running back at times, but it's kind of like the Cordell Patterson situation. It's just, if you're getting a couple of carries here and there, but you're not getting that many catches anymore, like now you're in this weird, lane. Like you're not Deebo Samuel, so
right.
It's tough. But yeah, I'm lower as well. Lower than him, lower than consensus on him. Excuse me. I am. Anyone else or?
No, that's it. Those 2. Where do you have Christian Watson ranked right now? Just curious.
I have Watson wide receiver 30. So
okay. So in line with PCR. Okay.
Yeah. I still have him for about 4 catches for 50. Kind of the normal stuff. It's tough with this Philly defense to kind of project individual receivers because last week, for example, I thought, hey, okay, Michael Pittman may struggle a little bit, but there's still a zone defense, so you could get those crossers, things like that, and do things to kind of get away from the 2 perimeter cornerbacks. So I'm sure Aaron Rodgers is savvy vet. I wouldn't be overly worried about Watson. His route participation did drop from 90 to 78, but I still expect him to kind of be in that, like 75 to 90 range, that wide receiver 2 range. So yeah, I think I'm going to bet you'll have him a little higher.
Well, yeah, possibly. And starting next week, I mean, he's probably going to be inside my top 25. It's just one of those things we do have to at least factor in the matchup. And this week, it's not a good one. And I really do think they're going to lean on the run. I mean, kind of what they did against like the Bills that game. We could see something like that. So it's just, I'm projecting Aaron Rodgers specifically to not throw for many yards. And that's just hurting all the pass catchers, specifically Watson. So that's all I'm saying. Just worry about the matchup a little bit.
Yep. I'm low on DJ Moore. I have him wide receiver 39. He's a consensus wide receiver 35. And, talk about a tough matchup. I know Surtain got lit up by Devontae Adams, but Devontae Adams has been the only guy that can do that. I mean, I was on the Raiders in that game specifically because the Raiders were pretty much the only offense all year that gave the Broncos defense trouble, and they did it yet again. But now you got more. We don't even know who the quarterback's going to be first.
Right.
Second of
Sam
all,
Darnold,
right.
Obviously.
Second of all, Terrace Marshall is actually coming on, and he gets less attention. So a lot of times, the Panthers' offense is going to be concentrated around those 2 perimeter guys for the most part, and they'll try to work in Viska or Shi Smith. But a lot of times, Marshall, it's kind of like the Donovan Peoples-Jones situation a little bit, except with Moore not balling out like Cooper. But if you got a stud on the other side of you, a lot of times, the quarterback ends up going to the guy that's drawing less attention. So I think Moore is just going to be the focal point of that game plan for Denver. And they should get a little bit healthier. They were they've been injury ravaged for a while now. So, do not like DJ Moore. And just another one of those games where the total is 35.5, which I don't remember the last time. When is the last time we've seen a total open under 36, like in the 2000s?
So the Bills Patriots game.
Oh, yes.
Wendy, but I think it was like 39.5 or something. Obviously, it should have been. The Kendall Hinton game, I think that was pretty low.
That opened a little higher, I think, and then ended up dropping though. I feel like that was just in the normal. I don't know if that was like a 36 to start. Like this was like a 35 to start. That's
Well, yeah, I mean, but
yeah,
once
that's
we
a
knew that Kendall Hinton would be
yeah.
starting, I think it was around 36. But yeah, either way, this is definitely one of the lowest totals we've seen, non-weather related anyway. And I still think it might be a little bit too high.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, Denver, you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna score 13 to 16 points.
Yep.
And Carolina, I didn't see Carolina on red zone for the full 3 hours last week because they did not a thing on offense. So looks like PJ Walker still got the ankle. I feel like, as crazy as it sounds, he's probably their best bet to run an efficient offense. I mean, yes, he's going to make mistakes and but he gives them some upside. Whereas they're just kind of, running in place with
Yeah.
Mayfield. And I can't imagine it would be significantly better with Darnold. I mean, he had a hot start that first year with Carolina, but yeah, we don't know what's going on with him. So, and there could be some. There's some wind. There's not for a second. I thought there was some rain in the forecast, but it is some. It is some wind. There's potential rain in the Bucks Browns game and the Jets Bears game. So yeah.
All we need is Bill Vinovich to be the ref for this game as well.
Right. Yeah. And one more I'll mention. You mentioned Samuel, who I am low on as well, but I'm also low on Jahan Dotson. He's, I guess, because high upside rookie started the year well with those touchdowns. He is landing at wide receiver 46 in consensus, and I have him projected for about 88% of the routes as the number 2 wide receiver, and he's still projecting as my wide receiver 66 because the guy just hasn't been drawing targets consistently. His target per route rate is just 11%, and that is not going to cut it. He was basically relying solely on touchdowns.
Yep.
And he could get one, sure. I wouldn't be surprised, rookies as the year progresses, but there's nothing to say I'm ranking him above, like another handful of 10, 15 guys that are just going to be, are just targeted a lot more and have the same kind of opportunities. I mean, this guy has caught more than 3 passes in a game only once. He started the year with 2 touchdown catches on 3 total receptions in week 1, and then another touchdown catch on 4 receptions in week 2. So 3 touchdowns on 7 catches in the first 2 weeks. And then since then, he's played 4 games and he's only had 7 catches total. And one of them have been touchdowns. And even that's kind of, outplaying his coverage in terms of, that should regress. So I think he's got a lot of touchdown regression, and he hasn't shown that he's going to be a guy who can catch, 4, 5, 6 balls like an Olave or somebody like that.
Right.
And this Washington team, I don't think they have interest in really playing that kind of offense, especially when it's not Terry. So, yeah, low on Jahan.
What was his ECR?
ECR is wide receiver 46.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm right there with you with wide receiver 65.
Yep.
It's got to just be the touchdown regression. I'm projecting him for 2.5 catches for 33 yards, and sort of a normal touchdown rate. Yeah, you get wide receiver 65. So I think people are probably just overweighting the first 4 weeks when, like you said, he was scoring touchdowns.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. We got the receiver prop. All right. So Josh Palmer had the big game. I think you and I both called. We liked his first touchdown prop on Convince Me. So, looks like Mike Williams got banged up again, but are a little healthier here. You might get Everett back. You have Keenan Allen. So I think he's going to kind of be on that wide receiver 2 borderline, 2, 2, 3, just outside the top 25 in a lot of people's rankings. And people are going to wonder whether they should roll with him or maybe somebody like a Christian Watson. So let's go with his receiving yardage. And I will go with 57.5.
Over.
All right.
That's a damn good line. I set it like 59.5 in my head. But he's my guy. I got to roll with him. And I think it's not official, right? But Mike Williams was probably going to miss this week.
Yeah, I haven't projected out. So
yeah, same here. And then Gerald Everett is definitely iffy.
he's iffy.
So I'm projecting Everett in. So I just think that, Palmer can only go up in my projection. So that's why I'm leaning with him over.
Yeah, no, it's fun to see Palmer still in that top 30, even with guys starting to come get healthy for the Chargers. But yeah, he's my wide receiver 28. I have him around 55 yards, so I am probably a little bit lower than you, but still makes a top 30 play for me.